Hi, it's Jessie. I'm back again, and my kids are in the front room being loud, so you might hear them. But I wanted to come on here and finish saying what I was saying earlier, okay? Um, I told you they have this question for me, why am I hated, right? But then they have this other question for me. Uh, they basically say I'm the Messiah, and they tell me, we want Messiah now. When will Messiah come? And I don't know if they really believe that I'm their Messiah or if they are just trying to undermine and destabilize me to make me look crazy. So, let me set some things clear real quick. I'm not anybody's Messiah, okay? I cannot save anyone. You have to save yourself, right? Your salvation is in your own hands, right? That's that's a lesson that Christianity should have taught you a long time ago. Your salvation is in your own hands. When he says the kingdom of God is in your hands, your salvation is in your own hands. Get that lesson, okay? Now, how do you find salvation? No, Jesus said, you you don't have to keep the law. The laws are filled in me, you know. No, you actually do have to keep laws. You have to keep the laws of the nation that you reside in. If you are part of a nation, you live in a community, right? You have to learn how to relate to one another, you know. A criminal once told me that the law doesn't kick in until you get to court. That's sad in America. That's very sad in America when most people don't know their basic rights in the nation, right? And, excuse me, not only do they not know their basic rights in the nation, but they don't respect the rights of others in the nation, and that's a real problem, you know? So, I take you back to who was the Jewish Messiah, right? That'd be Judas Maccabees. Well, Judas and his brothers, they were charged with delivering Israel for the time. You know, they took down the empire of the time, you know? And the way that they overcame was they fought for their law and they fought for God. So if you got these two things with you, it doesn't matter if you're facing an empire or if you're just facing the guy next door, you know? If you got these two things that you're abiding in, that you're following, you know, that dictates the direction of your life, then nobody can stand against you, right? It doesn't matter who it is before you, right? If the whole world be against you, if you got God and law on your side, no one will be able to overcome you, you know? Your salvation is in your own hands. So we can, people say that your salvation is joining the church, right? Or your salvation is in being a Jew, right? If that were true, they like to say America is a Christian nation, but it's not a Christian nation. And our forefathers were pretty clear in that when they said that all men are created equally endowed by their creator. They were acknowledging that there was going to be different religions in the nation, right? Where we have a Christian nation, that'd be Rome, right? And I know there's other branches. There's like the Greek Orthodox, there's the Russian Orthodox, you know. They got other popes out in the world besides Pope Francis, who sits in Rome, right? But if you wanted to have a Christian nation, right? Christian nation, then everybody follows these rules of the church. And if everyone were following these set forth rules of the church, then it wouldn't be so hard to keep them, right? And the reason why it's hard to keep them is because we're in this melting pot out here where people are different, where they have different ideas of what makes life this or that. So you really can't be, you know, in a nation and in a church. It's never going to work out for you, you know. You're always going to be struggling with one foot in two worlds, right? It's never going to work out for you. There'll never be clarity because the laws contradict each other, right? But if you're aware of the laws of your nation, you know, then within your nation, if you have freedom of religion, then it's safe to be a Christian, provided that you respect that it's also safe to be a Muslim, that it's safe to be a Jew, that it's safe to be agnostic or even a Wiccan or whatever else is out there, a Mormon or whatever else have you out there in the country, that it's safe to be whoever you are, because we cannot disrespect the rights of religion. We can't disrespect the rights of religion and expect our rights to be respected. It's not a Christian nation. It's a nation that allows for you to believe as you so choose, you know. That being said, if you have that right down, then you have to get these other rights down, right? You know, freedom of speech. They always want to silence you. They always want to get you by yourself. They want no one to believe you. They want to discredit you completely. And when they discredit you, they frame you as a drunk, a drug addict. You know, they frame you as crazy. And it's important to know that these are the alibis of the enemy. Just like if you go back and read the parables that are in the Bible, right? They called Jesus a drunk. They say they stripped him naked. They say that he was crazy, right? They said all these things, right? So if you understand that when he came up, he was opposing the same kind of system that we're opposing now, and his presence back then did not end the practices that they had put forward, and they could not end the practices that they put forward because he had not identified where they had originated from and why people were like this. You see, when they crucified him, what's written in the Bible is that the people followed Jesus when he was performing miracles, when he was serving them, right? But as soon as the authority decided to target Jesus, everybody turned on him. Everyone betrayed him. Remember, I told you can't lead a people who are bent over? You can't, because people who are bent over, their governing principle is to avoid suffering, avoid pain. It's fear. You know, their governing principles are avoidance. You know, avoidance of discomfort. So do anything you have to do to avoid discomfort. So we're not going to fight against the leaders in our nation, even if we think that someone is the Messiah. You know, we're not going to fight against our leaders in the nation. We're instead going to join up with them because they give us rewards when we fight their causes. They give us more privileges. They feed us more. They open more doors of opportunity for us, you know. We were sitting lost in the dark, hungry, you know. We were suffering. We were sick. But now that, you know, they picked their enemy, now we got a cause to join. Now they'll take care of us because we can be on their side. You know, it's not they want you on their side all the time. It's just they want you on their side when they got a cause. You know, some things don't change between, you know, then and now. You know, and if Jesus was the Messiah, he would have resolved these things way back when, because he would have been able to identify what was going on. And instead of telling people you're forgiven, he'd tell them to stand up straight. Stand up straight. And what are they doing? You know, you got to be responsible for your leaders. Do you know you have to be accountable for the people you let lead you? You know, when Hitler took up in Germany, all these people said they were just following orders, you know. But it wasn't an acceptable excuse to say we were just following orders, right? You have to be responsible for who leads you. It's one of the reasons why in the U.S. we have a right to bear arms, because should we have a tyrannical government, if the people aren't too bent over to see, we have the right to overthrow them, and it's not an insurrection. It's not illegal, even though they've tried to make it so. But when you have a tyrannical government that's oppressing you, that's stripped away your rights, that aren't following the Constitution, you have a right to unseat them. And they'll say, do it at the voting polls. But no, sometimes voting polls are not enough. When someone has done something so horrendous, you know, they need to be unseated immediately. You can pull them out of office, you know. You might not like that This is your right as an American citizen. Well, it's not that you won't like it. They don't like it, and they try not to let you know it. But this is why you have that right to bear arms, that right to defend yourself, the right to defend yourself and your country. It's a matter of knowing how to do it. A lot of people protest. They lead protests down there, like for abortion rights, like for civil rights, for economic fairness, things like this. We organize in the unions and whatnot. But if you really look at it, what you're doing is you're penny pinching. You're trying to get anything, just a few crumbs from the master's table. When you don't understand, you're the one who supplies the master's table. There should not be corporate welfare. There should be entitlements like they did back in the New Deal with FDR. Like all the citizens of America should reap the reward of being an American citizen. There should be a basic standard human wage, for American citizens. If you had started that, these companies, these businesses wouldn't be going bankrupt because they have to bear all the burden of supporting the people so that they can support themselves. If you had this basic human wage, this basic standard living allowance, you wouldn't be bankrupting businesses. People would be able to choose. They'd be able to support more businesses because they'd have money to spend. But we don't do that because we say people must earn their own money. But it's erroneous. It's erroneous because there is no way to live for free unless you're completely incapacitated, And even then, if you look at Stephen Hawking, he still had the ability to communicate through technology, So it's erroneous to say this. Everybody has to make a contribution to the community, yes, but it's not so necessary that we strip away entitlements because we are demanding that everybody works. It's it it, it that's a trap. You can't fall for the traps of the enemy. If we're all supplying the table and we want a better nation, we want a nation, when people want to belong somewhere, they make contributions. Nobody wants to belong in a place where our leaders are condemning us as lazy, as stupid, as slow, when they're putting the burden of things on our shoulders. Nobody wants to contribute to this kind of cause. When they're lying about us, when they're scheming against us, nobody wants to contribute to these kind of causes. When they're, making up issues like the abortion thing so that they can play hero on which side, and neither one of them cares about the side that they're on. And you know it because Biden's a Catholic, and if he's a real Catholic, he follows the Pope, and if he follows the Pope, he doesn't believe in abortions, right? I'm just saying, you have to become a society that doesn't say, I'm this, and then I can do what I want. You have to be a nation that actually cares for one another. And when you care for one another, there's this premise that you have to understand that love, it's never satisfied unless it's giving. So when you change the constitution of the people and give them something to belong to, way back in the day when the Maccabees, they overthrew the empire, you know what happened? The land brought forth fruit. There was no more famine, right? Rain came in its time. There was no destruction with the storms. What else? Men gathered in the street to talk about good things. Good things they talked about in the street. There is a difference between a people living a redeemed life, a free, a liberated life, and people living in bondage. People living in bondage will cut each other apart, And this is where the leaders of your nation have to be wise enough to recognize that we don't want a nation in bondage. We do want a liberated nation. We want a nation that people can be proud of, a nation that people can belong to. We want to lessen the burden on businesses so that they're not paying out so much, And if we lessen their burden this way, then they don't need all those tax incentives, right? Because people actually have money to spend, and the government doesn't necessarily have to invest so heavily in these businesses, because people actually have money to spend. They can actually, take their family on a vacation, Some people have not had a vacation in their entire life. They can actually afford recreation. They can actually afford to feed their family every day, basic human rights. We're so worried about this immigration thing. We're spending so much stinking money on immigration, but the immigrants aren't getting any further. We're spending so much money to keep them in place because it's a money grab. We have people in the center who control the faucet, right? Who dole out services. And it's not to say that these services are going to make anybody better, but they're in there controlling the faucet, They're in there taking their share of it. And it's the same way out in the world. We had entitlements until these people convinced the government to put them in charge of who should get and who should not. And they crafted all these formulas for who should get and who should not. And they crafted all these formulas for who's a good person and who's a bad person. And the bad people, believe it or not, you watch hockey, you watch wrestling, you drink coffee, you drink beer, you drink wine. That's like, I don't know, at least 25% of America does all that, But these are the measurements that say you're a bad person. If we said coffee, more like 75% of American adults drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. I never did. But that's the accusation against me. So that's where I know, oh, this is one of those little boxes that they check to say that you're a bad person. And then they go and get witnesses to substantiate their lies. And it's a horrible, horrible thing, this world that we live in. But you know what? If there was entitlements, you wouldn't need middlemen. And if there weren't middlemen, there wouldn't be people in the middle fighting to discredit you and defraud you of what should be rightfully yours so that they can take a piece of your pie. And does my saying this make me the Messiah? No, it doesn't make me the Messiah. No, 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 no. It makes me an educated American citizen who knows, who understands how things have worked through time, and who understands that making the entitlements universal throughout the country, universal entitlements all over again, is the only thing that's actually gonna improve the country. Get rid of the middlemen. It's a money grab. You want to see immigration, you want the problem of immigration solved? Stop letting them send money home. Most of the money that immigrants make gets sent back to their home country to support their families, to support their extended families, to support their nation. They're here to make a withdrawal. While they're contributing, we like them because, our nation is bent over and we're not able to do the hard labor that, say, Mexicans are able to do. They work hard. They work hard 16 hours a day. I had guys in my house do the floor. They came at 7 a.m. They didn't leave until after 11 p.m. That's a long day. That's like 16 hours. And they didn't even stop to take lunch. I cooked them lunch in the kitchen, and I thought they'd stop and eat it, but they ate it while they worked. Take a bite, go work. Take a bite, go work. They work so tremendously hard. So I understand why they want to bring immigrants in. Americans, you have to pay too much. And like you said, we're lazy, But these people have energy because they're not bent over, So they're coming in because we're paying them. Yeah, they got to work long hours, but they get good money. They get to send a lot of money home, And you're complaining because when they first come here, especially with families, that they get public benefits. Well, they're not really getting the public benefits. That the middlemen are controlling the faucet and exploiting them, and they're really not getting a fair shake. They're being housed in, homeless shelters and whatnot, schools and closed factories and whatnot. if you want to settle the problem of immigration where it's not so much in your face, where these people aren't just sitting in a shelter, stop letting them send money home. Make the money come back into the U.S. economy. When it comes into the U.S. economy, that's when they're a benefit to the nation. It's not just what you can get out of them, it's what they can add to it. And if they're not adding to it because everything's going out, then it's really not more beneficial for them to be here. It's more beneficial for you to get American citizens to stand upright so that they have more energy to do the work that's needed to be done in the nation. You know? And a lot of people won't like my views. They won't like the way uh, that I say these things. They might say that I'm discriminating, you know, especially those middlemen in the middle, those little those ones that defraud people of their inheritance, you know, those ones that defraud people of life while pretending to be help. Those you cut out those middlemen, and man, you're gonna see a whole different nation being born, you know, because when you pass a judgment on someone, when you try to make somebody into somebody they're not, when you ruin their reputation, you know, if you can't look at me and see, it takes something out of you. It ages you. You know, it takes years off of your life. When you cut someone off and isolate them, we are social creatures. When we're isolated, we die. We die, you know. It's why I sat in silence for a long, long time. And these middlemen who control the faucet, you know, they've been attacking me for a long, long time, you know. They've been lying, and they don't pay my bills. I don't receive public benefits, you know. They don't support me in any which way, but they still try to make me look fraudulent by toying with the records. Like, they'll make it look like I wasn't here, like I was an absent parent, but I've always been here. They'll embellish records to make their father look more involved than he is. He's a good wallet for them, you know, but it's not free money that comes as a cost, you know. And to tell you the truth, life is better when he stays uninvolved. So I don't complain about him being uninvolved, but let's not embellish the record, you know, to try and make it look like he's something that he's not, because it's just crap, you know. It's crap. Don't do that. You know, you get rid of me and leave my children, put him in charge. What do you think is going to happen? You know, what do you think is going to happen when you take the limits off of somebody? When there's no one big enough to stand up and say no to him? You know, I got beat with a belt one time because I stopped him from whooping my daughter, you know, and I let him know, you touch my kids and there's a baseball bat in the garage. You don't go to sleep, you know. Do not go to sleep. He's like, you'll go to jail. I'm like, it'll be worth it. I will take my licks. I'm aware. I'm a law-abiding citizen. But if you do certain things, there's a red line you don't cross. And if you do certain things, don't sleep. Don't sleep, because I'm aware you're bigger than me. You can beat me with the belt and I can't do nothing about it. You know, you can drag me around. You could drag me around by my stinking ankles, which has happened, you know. I can't do nothing about it. You can force me to do a lot of things. I can't do nothing about it, but hit my children and you will not sleep again. You, or if you do sleep, it'll be the last time you go to sleep. Let's put it that way, because I'm not playing. I'm not playing. And that may be the reason why, you know, he doesn't like me, but I keep my children safe. You understand? So, these people, the stories they tell, they'll say that, I have a temper because I say things like that. Like, don't go to sleep. If you hurt my kids, don't go to sleep, you know? They say I have a temper. They say I have rage issues. Oh, really? Because they kind of gaslighted my son to think that he had rage issues, too. And when he was younger, he was like, all his life, he was such a happy boy. He was so shiny. And then we moved here, and these people got him talking about, I have anger issues. I was like, no, you don't. Like, on his worst day, he doesn't. He's not violent, not in the least. I'm like, they're just pumping your head full of nonsense because they're trying to make it look like I have anger issues. And if the mom has anger issues, then so do the kids, you know. It's how they prove their case, you know. It's ridiculous, the things that they do, but it's what they do, and it's why I'm so clear in how to fix the problem is cut the middlemen off and return to the law. Pass out entitlements across the country for those who have a U.S. Social Security card, not for the immigrants, you know, for those who have a U.S. Social Security card. And then stop money from passing borders, you know. They said yesterday, if I don't help them solve the problem, then I don't care. I'm giving you the solutions. You just don't care to follow them, because that means if you did what was right, you couldn't defraud the people of their inheritance anymore. You know, you got to be mindful of who your leaders are, because some of this language, they're just putting you against one another so that they can steal from you. You know, they pit you against one another so that they can steal from you. And really, when we talk about who's deserving of what, nobody is as bad as the worst thing they've done. There is good in everyone. Everyone has some kind of quality that makes them worthy of life, even the worst person you ever met. Like I tell you, I love my brother. I love my brother. I'll never stop loving my brother. But I can't be in the room with my brother. Not after all he's done. Not after it cost my kids. Not. See, these people, they divide your house and they pit people against people. And then here we are, I'm mad at my brother. I still tell you, I love my brother. I won't do him harm. But don't bring him in my face where he tells me lies. I didn't have anything to do with that. I would never. Oh, man. Don't do that. You know? These people are what's wrong with the country. And I recognize it. The problems in my life, they've been going on for decades, right? Decades. I haven't even seen my one brother in like 3 decades, and he's still got power to take my life, right? That's the country we're living in. No statute of limitations, no rule of law, no trial where you get to face your accuser, no rights of the accused, no scrutinizing evidence. You're just cut off, and that's the way it is. That's not welcome to America. That's Nazis, you know? And they cut off so many people in Germany, right? With these tactics, defrauding people of life. And you know, before they exterminated the Jews, they defrauded them of life. They came in and they took their wealth from them. They took their art from them. They took their houses from them, you know. They put them in camps, right? But initially not to kill them, initially just to make them slaves. But they couldn't do this without first turning the people against them, turning their neighbors against them, turning their families against them. They couldn't do this without doing these other things. But then the problem goes, after you kill so many people in this way, after you defraud them of life in this way, then you actually have to kill them because you got no place to put them, right? You got no place to put them. So after you defraud them of life, you take everything they have from them, then you start exterminating them, right? I'm just saying, because this is what happened before. This is what they're doing now. We're only a step away from the gas chamber being repeated, and that may sound like an exaggeration to some, but this is the way that these people rule, and we don't see anything wrong with it because they put on a smiley face like a silver-tongued little devil. We don't see anything wrong with it because we trust them that they wouldn't do anything like that, but we're programmed to believe that. We got all these favorable television shows, you know, securing our good opinion of them. And we're not even aware that what they're doing, we don't want to believe it, you know. I still struggle to believe that my brother's a child molester. I still go back and forth, my moral dilemmas. I still go back and forth. It's because I love my brother, you know. My brother confessed to his crime. I loved my brother. I look for any reason not to believe something bad about him. I understand it. We love these people. We don't want them to be bad. But eventually we have to open our eyes and understand, Tommy, you can't be in my life no more. Dude, you can't be in my life no more if you're going to keep up these ways. You can't do this because you're destroying the nation. And yeah, it's just me today. It's just, you know, the guy a couple blocks over. You do the selective targeting. But while you're destroying me, you're teaching people how to be monsters. You're puffing up people with entitlement, and you're appointing them as judges over me. You're appointing them to attack me, to, you know, destroy my property, you know, to attack my kids. You're doing a lot worse to the people who you're not attacking than you are to me. Because I know I don't want to be bad. I know I don't want to be like that. And you're giving them permission. So, these are the problems that we have to confront as Americans. These are the issues, you know. It doesn't make me the Messiah. It makes me be somebody who wants a better world. Whatever title that gives me, let's go for it, all right? My time is up again, 31 minutes and counting. So, y'all have a good day.